Mick Clohisey, thanks a million for coming in to see us.
No problem.
It's been a good few days for you.
Yeah. I was been chilling out the last few days since the marathon on Sunday. But I'm happy with how Sunday went, and it's been a good buzz since, and a lot of media exposure and a lot of people around saying well done to me, and I suppose it's the exposure Dublin gets your face around Dublin and stuff. So I've been happy.
Yeah, obviously your first Dublin marathon. Kind of people from the outside looking in would have said you made it look easy, but this would have been kind of years in the making, because obviously between Rio, London, and then Berlin over the last couple of years, it just hasn't fit in with your schedule.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I moved up to the marathon in 2015, so since then I focused on the major championships. So I qualified for Rio in 2016, the Olympics, then London World Champs last year, Berlin this year, as I said. So they fall generally in August, so it's kind of been too close to run Dublin afterwards. But this year I said after Berlin, if I recover okay, I'd give Dublin a crack, because obviously the hometown, and it's something I really wanted to do, and so I'm glad I gave it a crack. And
as you mentioned, Berlin there, the Europeans, just 11 weeks kind of in between the two of them.
Yeah.
How were you kind of feeling, or in between those? Because it was a good performance in Berlin, I think 18th.
Yeah, so Berlin was a tough enough day. It was warm, and it was proper championship racing. I'd hoped to go a little bit better there, but still I was happy. Top 20 was great to crack. Since then, and it was a short build-up, I took a couple of weeks downtime afterwards, and then I got stuck into the training for Dublin. But to be honest, I think when you've already had a marathon build-up, you don't need to have a massive one afterwards, because you're getting the benefits from the previous. So sometimes I think marathon build-ups can nearly be too long. You're kind of prolonging the whole thing, and I've been going non-stop through the year, but I suppose for Dublin now I didn't need to kill myself in training the last few weeks, but I got some good solid weeks in. I ran a few road races around the place, and I think it fell nicely time-wise, but I could feel now even that I'm fatigued after 2 back-to-back marathons, so I take a bit of downtime now. But thankfully it worked well, and the body held up good for it.
Yeah, for an Irish athlete though, Dublin is different, isn't it? It's the whole expectation of it, the home crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I suppose since I was young, I've gone in and watched Dublin. My father's a runner; he ran since I was very young, so I've always gone in and supported. And I suppose the last few years, seeing the kind of the way it's grown so much, the popularity of it, I was kind of, God, geez, I'd love to get in there and get stuck into the racing side of it. So it was a different feeling to any of the previous marathons. Like the World Championships in London was great because there was so many Irish. It did feel like a home race nearly. But Dublin had that extra special feel because obviously being from Dublin and knowing the streets and knowing the city so well, so it was an added buzz. It's probably still only kind of looking back on it now, because when you're racing on the day, it's hard to kind of take it all in. But now I'm kind of looking back at different moments of the race, and you can kind of say, that was great running up through the Phoenix Park or through all the different areas, like say out by Inchicore and all these places, all the little pockets of crowds was great. So
Yeah, is that kind of something that you'd naturally do? Just you get to savour it a bit more in the days afterwards, because as you say, it's a bit of a whirlwind. That
yeah, exactly. Because obviously beforehand, you're resting up and trying to get in focus for the race, and then the morning you're that bit nervous always. Like it's a good thing to have some nerves, but in the race, obviously, you're trying to keep the concentration and focus, and everything's just about trying to get to the end, really. So I think afterwards, then you can kind of look back, and it's in your head what you've gone through, and even looking back at some of the footage I saw on the live stream, just to see sections of it, But it's good to be able to recap it, and then obviously all the family out supporting me and all the crowds, like in my club, Raheny Shamrocks, all the people around, because I've been coaching the last few days. I do coaching, and I was up this morning with some of my in St Anne's Park, quite local, so a lot of Raheny people, and they were like, "Oh, we saw you at this point, that point." So I was like, "Oh yeah, geez, I think I heard you at this," So it comes back then. So. So that was great buzz, really good.
The race itself, 2:15:58, just shy of your PB, fastest Irish man in 19 years.
Yeah.
You look back on it now, and you say there you're kind of remembering bits of it. There's no such thing as a perfect race, but it went very well for you.
Yeah, exactly. You said it there. I think in the marathon it's very hard for everything to go 100%. Going into it, I thought my main aim was to just get stuck in and race at the front. Obviously it's the Irish Championship as well, and I hadn't won a national marathon championship, so that was something I really wanted. But going in, I saw that there was some strong internationals, the Africans who came over and that. But I said I want to try and get in the mix as best I can. So I got stuck into it early on. And then I did go through some rough patches around halfway. I had some kind of stomach problems. I did have to stop.
Okay.
So that might have knocked a bit of my time, but I had to kind of, take a pit stop, as they say. But I got going again. But that's the marathon, nothing's ever 100%. So yeah, no, it went well. I finished strong, which was a good thing, because in some of my marathons I have faltered a bit towards the end. That's just the nature of the event, but I think it was a good sign moving forward that I had a good bit of strength towards the end, so hopefully I can build on that.
Yeah. Did you get to savour that finish into Marion Square, because you kind of had it wrapped up, the National Marathon Championship at that stage, first Irishman home. It was a kind of a clench of the fist. People would have saw the photos afterwards. Did you get to kind of enjoy that?
No, it wasn't. It was a nice stretch, because I know about the stretch in. It's long, even though you're thinking, oh geez, there's only a mile to go, but at that stage you just kind of want to get there. But I suppose I did have the opportunity to kind of enjoy the crowds coming through, and it was only really when I got to the 26 mile mark, when you have the 0.2, that I could see the clock, and I said, oh, I'll be close to, high 2:15 or sub 2:16, so I kind of had to give it one final stretch to get under the 2:16, because I suppose I hadn't really focused on the watch too much throughout the race. That was the difference with this. It was just pure racing. Okay. So it was nice then that it was a good strong time. Not a PB, but I was happy with the performance.
Yeah. I mean, you touched on the crowds there, and obviously it's a big part of Dublin. And for the amateur runner, getting to run through places, as you said, Castleknock, Milltown, all these places where there's crowds 10 deep or whatever, it's a huge buzz and something I've never experienced. You obviously run all around the world, you're used to the crowds, but how much of an advantage does that give you when you hear from the crowd every second step, go on Mick, or go on Ireland, or go on Raheny? How much does that give you?
It is brilliant, it's like, as I said, London World Champs last year, we'd so many Irish over, it nearly felt like a hometown race, and that was incredible as well. But in Dublin this year, it was just the whole way around, and there's a little points where it's quiet as well, which is nice, because you get a kind of, a little breather nearly, but then you come into some of the little areas around the Sedinchi Core, Drimna, all up around there, Ratgar, Castleknock, all these places, and just the roars and the crowds, and you hear your name, and it's like, it really spurs you on, and it's great that people are taking interest, and you kind of realise, geez, a lot of people know who you are and stuff, and they're cheering you, and then you hear the club name being shouted, which is always great, Raheny Shamrocks, and it is a great help in the race, especially when you're tiring and stuff, and sometimes you see familiar faces as well on the course, family or friends, or people in the club or anyone from the athletic scene, and kind of gives you a little bit of a boost, just to spurs you on, so to speak. So really good.
We'll get into maybe your plans for next year later on, and maybe touch on if you're going to run Dublin again. I know it's a long way out. I think registration opened for it today.
Yeah,
so
I heard it's already filling up quick, apparently.
Which just shows you. But just maybe looking back on this year as a whole, because people will be quite familiar with your story of qualifying for Rio and suffering, things maybe not going the way you would have liked in Rio, suffering from illness and that type of thing. How has this year been in general for you? Because obviously this is a great finish. Yeah, no,
it's been quite a strong year. This time last year I had a slight injury which knocked me out of the cross-country season. I was out of action for a month or so, which isn't much in the scheme of things, but for myself I've been so lucky with injuries that maybe it was a welcome break for me. It gave my body a chance to recover. So I ran Seville in February, so that was the first major event, and I ran a PB. It was 2:14:55, so I had hoped to go a bit quicker, but I was happy to run a PB. My plan was, to go out. I went out in the first half quite hard. I faltered a bit, so I knew there was more work to be done, but I was happy to get my time down. And then obviously we had the European Championships in the summer in Berlin. That was, again, I kind of aimed for high. I wanted to get close to the top 10. I went for it, I took a few risks, suffered a halfway with some cramps as well, whether it was the heat or what, I don't know. Still managed to finish 18th, I came through the field. So it was a solid performance. And then Dublin, to round off the three marathons of the year, I was delighted to get the national title and to finish high up in the field. So it's been a good solid year, and I've had some some of the shorter distances I've ran quite solid as well. I got a national silver on the 10,000 on the track. So I like to stay in touch with all the shorter events as well, down to, well, I did run a 5k, but that was maybe a little too short for me. But in general, yeah, it's been a solid year, and yeah, I feel I can push forward now, you know. But it's a fine line, you know. You take it as it comes, because injuries aren't that far away. You just have to kind of take it as go with the flow of it, and you know, you have to have the hunger to keep pushing on. But as I said, a little break now will do me good to mentally and physically recharge.
Yeah, I remember you saying previously, maybe in your early days, you know, early 20s, that you did running more of, you know, out of enjoyment rather than something that you could really focus on and go for it. That mindset or that shift kind of in attitudes has obviously helped you in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like in my early 20s, I was, you know, running was a big part of my life. I was making Irish cross-country teams, and I did maybe just lose a bit of interest for a few years, and, you know, drifted away from the sport slightly without ever leaving it totally. I was always running. You know, and looking back, it probably done me good. It gave me a fresh lease of life when I did get back into it, and I suppose it gave me a new kind of hunger to really go for it, because I probably was half-hearted a lot of the time at some of my running in them days. So it kind of gave me a new drive and focus to kind of fulfil as much as I can out of the sport. And the main thing is enjoying it as well, and, you know, having that hunger to keep pushing on, and which I do, thankfully. And as I said, I've been very lucky with injuries, but the last few years I've made good progressions, and I feel, especially in the marathon, the more you build your endurance, you can keep going, you know, you can keep improving. So I definitely feel I have another, please, who knows, but another few years where I can keep pushing forward in the marathon and try and progress my times, and hopefully some good championship performances.
Yeah, we might touch on Tokyo next, but Dick Cooper, obviously your coach, just an added kind of satisfaction maybe on Sunday. Obviously 3-time winner, the inaugural winner of the National Marathon Championships in 1980, I think it was. So that was kind of a nice little...
Yeah, no, like Dick is obviously, he's been a legend associated with the Dublin Marathon. He's won it 3 times. So Dick has been a great help with me since my mid-teens, you know, and he's always been there to help me along. His knowledge of the marathon event in particular is fantastic as well, and we've both kind of gotten to know each other so well that we work well together. We've got a kind of balance where we feed off, you know, ideas off each other, so it's a two-way kind of system. But his guidance has been brilliant. I wouldn't be where I was without Dick's help. So, and it's you know, it's great to have him there helping me out along the way. Yeah,
and you're coaching now a bit as well.
Yeah, no, the last year and a half or so, I've kind of tried to get involved in coaching. I've set up my own coaching business. So yeah, no, it's moving forward well. I do some local stuff in Raheny, some group training sessions. I do a bit of online coaching with people, and I also do corporate kind of lunchtime coaching with some of the companies who'd be down in Irish Town Stadium at lunchtime. There's some of the big companies down around Grand Canal and that. So it's great, yeah, no, and enjoying it. And so there's always a few other bits and pieces, but it's a nice balance at the moment with my own training, and it's nice to be helping people is great as well, you know. And I had some people running on Sunday in the marathon, and, you know, they ran well, and I get a great buzz out of that as well, to see people improving. So yeah, it's enjoyable. How
do you kind of work that? Because obviously you're running at an elite level, and, you know, you're dealing with amateur athletes, so you kind of have to get to their level almost to help them out as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, like the way I like to, especially with the people I'm helping one-to-one, I like to make sure that I'm giving them the time that they deserve. So yeah, I have to, I suppose, know about them, and, you know what times they're hoping to run. And it's, you know, I can relate some of my own stuff, but I obviously have to make sure you have the balance that these people, you know, are working full time and their families or whatever, and you have to make sure that you're not overdoing it with them and that. So I tend to keep it quite flexible with them, and, you know, a lot of it's just simplifying the training back down to, you know, the bread and butter stuff of distance running, because I think things have got a bit complicated at times. There's so much information, so much technology, gadgets, and it's just trying to bring it back to the simplicity of, a lot of it's about consistency and, you know, moving forward, and, you know, like mixing training up and keeping it fresh. So yeah, no, as myself, I'm learning as I go, so it's an ongoing thing, but hopefully I'll keep improving on that side of things as well.
Yeah, and for yourself, obviously, as you say, you're trying to kind of progress into 2019. So where do you find those kind of to that extra edge to knock off a couple of minutes off your time? Because as you said, you know, marathon running is all about building up that endurance. Is that kind of the key now, just that experience of it?
Yeah, like each marathon I've done, I've learned something from it. You know, some of them don't go as well. That's the nature of it. You're not always going to have a top marathon, so you have to take something from the ones that don't go as well. And I suppose the nature of the marathon is it's a patient game. It's not like some of the shorter distances where you can just go out every few weeks and run one, because if you really want to get your best performance, you have to. It's all about the preparation and the build-up. So, yeah, I think the build-up of endurance and I suppose experience with the marathon has given me more confidence of the event. There's new things in training I can try. There's old things you can go back to as well. But yeah, I think confidence is a big thing, and believing, because I feel in myself that I know I've more in there to knock more time, you know, a minute or two off my time, which I'd love to crack down to that next level. Yeah, there's a few things I could work on. You know, there's all aspects, even diet, rest, all the things that, you know, I always say I'll do, but I can always do them better. You know, so these are the things that, you know, you can just do that bit extra the next time. You know, and change things up, try new things as well. But yeah, and confidence I think is a big thing as well moving forward, and just having the belief in myself that I can reach that next kind of level.
Yeah, you've obviously had a few days off since Sunday, but when you do get back into kind of the thick of training again, what would kind of be your general workload per week? Like, I mean, marathon training is obviously different, as you say, shorter distances.
Well, like I suppose in a marathon build-up, dependency, I do tend to race a lot. Like, I like to race over 10k, half marathon, so my workload will drop a bit when I'm racing, so I freshen up a bit. But my highest mileage would be just maybe over 100, sometimes 100 miles a week. But I'm kind of consistently around the 90 mark, and then I'd have the odd key week where I'll hit over 100, but then it might drop down to 70, 80 if I'm racing or whatever. So I think it's more the consistency over the year. I suppose if I look back at my diary or something, I could probably see that I've been really consistent through all the months, which I think is important. But also having them periods of rest, few down weeks here and there, and sometimes the racing can actually allow me to recover a bit as well at the same time, because I'm not churning out loads of miles. So, but it does vary, you know. I wouldn't be exactly the same every week, and I probably wouldn't run as many miles as some of the marathon runners. It is something maybe I could try and up my workload, but it's a fine line as well with that, because you can, if you overstep the mark, then you come into fatigue or injury. So it's about getting the balance, which is you're always tampering with to see how much you can push it. But yeah, like it's the consistency I think has been the key the last few years. And
2019, will you throw yourself into a cross-country season in the winter, or how are you kind of looking at that?
Yeah, so see, the national cross-country's now in 3.5 weeks.
Okay.
And that's the trials for the European cross-country, which would normally be one of my big focuses of the year. This year, I suppose I will plan to run it now. I'll be going into it off my break, really. So look, it's hard to know what will happen, but I'll just get in and give it a lash, as they say. And cross country after that, there won't be a whole lot, but more a few road races, and I'd probably look at a spring marathon. Haven't decided where yet, but hoping to run, you know, a fast time somewhere. But we'll see. The World Championships are in Doha next October, which is an interesting one. It's going to be a different type of marathon. Apparently it's at midnight. It's still going to be very hot. Like I'd never like to turn down an opportunity to wear the Irish vest. So that could be on the agenda. Also then, that Dublin is around that time next year. So we'd have to see what the plans are. But I think the main focus then, once we get into next year, the Olympic window opens for Tokyo 2020. So a lot of my planning will be to try and make sure that I get my qualification for that, which will be tough, but that would be the main aim. But the spring marathon would be the next big goal, I'd say, to try and run a fast time, hopefully. Yeah, you mentioned before we came on air that having run and won the national championships in Dublin this year, it'd be difficult to not be involved again next year. Yeah, I think the buzz of it, you know, when it starts coming around again, I'd really like to be, I suppose, maybe a chance of winning the marathon outright, you know, get in the mix. So we'll have to see. Like Doha, as I said, it's, you know, as I said, I don't like to turn down an international vest either, but we'll have to see how things pan out, and I'll sit down with my coach and we'll we'll plan to see what the best plan moving forward is. But tend not to look too far ahead either. That's the thing. So just take it as it comes.
Yeah, I suppose finally Tokyo, obviously as you say, will come on the horizon fairly quickly. You are an Olympian already. Rio, form and fitness kind of just escaped you in Rio itself, didn't go as well as you would have liked, but you've kind of, I know since then you've said that you've kind of redeemed yourself in performances in London and Berlin and even Dublin now. Yeah. You're in a different mindset, presumably now heading into this kind of second half of this Olympic cycle.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Like Rio was a great experience, you know, being at the Olympics and everything. Unfortunately, I probably went over a little bit, burnt out slightly, you know, but it was hard. It was a long qualification process for it, and I just had a few unfortunate things with blisters and sickness and whatever, but I finished it out, and obviously I was a bit disappointed, but I recovered from it. I switched off afterwards and kind of regrouped and got back into it. But yeah, no, this time I'll be raring to go, and obviously I'd want to, you know, make this, if I get to the Olympics, it'd be nice to put in a really strong performance. And I think Tokyo and Japan marathon running is massive over there. Like, it's really big, so it could be an amazing Olympics to be at. So yeah, no, I'll be really looking forward to trying to seal a place there. But there's a lot of good lads, you know, in the marathon as well, so it won't be easy either, you know. But I'll be confident that I can hopefully get myself on the plane there. Yeah,
a lot of miles between now and then, as you said, kind of a lot of variables as well, the qualification process.
Yeah, and there's loads of things, health, injury, you know, so you just have to take it as it comes.
Sure. Before we finish up, you were nominated for the Athletics Ireland Endurance Athlete of the Year this week. Be a nice finish to what has, as you say, been a strong year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I was nominated twice before, so it's always great to be nominated. There's some other strong guys. Kevin Seward's had a great year, and there's two of the Alex Wright and Brendan Boyce, the walkers. So you know, it'll be good. It's good, 4 good athletes there. So it'll be nice to be. Who knows what will happen at that? But as I said, being nominated is nice in the first place. So yeah, I look forward to that at the end of the month.
Maybe a final word on Sunday. That would be, you know, I think you got married during the summer as well, but will Sunday be kind of the defining memory of 2018 for you?
Oh, well, I think I mentioned the wedding to my wife Crona in the summer, so that'll probably top it. But Dublin wasn't far behind. Crona was out there, helped me with my drinks. She got the 2 spots on the course, so I mean, she was part of the day as well, and so was my father and all that, and Dick, my coach. So it was a team effort, you know. So yeah,
it will live long in the memory going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was great. So hopefully I'll come back and do Dublin again.
Brilliant, Mick. Congratulations again.
Thanks a million
for coming in to see us.
Nice one. No bother.